right, Commanders Nation, buckle up, because the burgundy and gold news cycle is absolutely exploding today with moves that could define our season, fam. BOUTTE, the Patriots receiver, is on the trade block, and the Commanders are front runners to land him, a 5th or 6th round pick for a legitimate WR2 for Jaden Daniels. This could be the secret weapon our offense needs to go from good to elite, and I'm gonna break down why this move, despite his past, is a steal Adam Peters cannot pass up. But is he truly the missing piece or a costly distraction? And speaking of Jaden, remember Josh CONERLY Jr. Forget last year's rookie. Word out of Ashburn is CONERLY is transformed, stronger, faster, ready to explode and become the protector Jaden Daniels needs. I'm gonna tell you how his mentorship with Laramie Tunsil is molding him into an immovable rock on our O-line, and why his breakout is the key to our offense being unstoppable. But will it be enough to silence the critics and ensure our franchise QB's health? But it ain't all sunshine and rainbows, fam. Adam Peters' gamble on Will Harris in the secondary is hanging by a thread. With underperforming play and a new defensive coordinator, can Harris prove he belongs, or will this be another costly decision that comes back to haunt us? I'm gonna break down why this situation is critical for our defense and how it could directly impact our playoff aspirations. Alright, let's kick things off with the absolute bombshell that dropped today. BOUTTE, the New England Patriots wide receiver, is reportedly on the trade block, and guess who's listed as a top landing spot? That's right, your Washington Commanders. ESPN insiders like Adam Schefter and Dan Graziano are all over this, and the chatter is getting loud. BOUTTE, a former 6th round pick, is in the final year of his rookie contract, carrying a cap hit of just $3.72 million. The Patriots have reshaped their receiver room, and it looks like BOUTTE is the odd man out. Now, why is this so huge for us, fam? Look, we all know Terry McLaurin is our undisputed WR1, a certified superstar, but beyond Scary Terry, the WR2 spot has been a question mark, right? We've had Antonio Williams, Treylon Burks, Diami Brown all battling it out. And while I'm hyped for what Williams can bring, and I've seen flashes from Burks and Brown, none of them have truly solidified that role consistently. This is where BOUTTE comes in. At 24 years old, BOUTTE has shown flashes of being a reliable contributor when given opportunities. He's got talent, he's got upside, and he's affordable. The Commanders, with our playoff aspirations, need to add talent to our offensive line, yes, but also to our skill positions. BOUTTE's ability to work on the outside and contribute in key situations could be a game changer. He's got room to develop and could become more productive in a larger offensive role. But let's keep it a buck, bro. This isn't just about adding another body. This is about giving Jaden Daniels another weapon. Think about it, a dynamic WR2 who can stretch the field, make plays after the catch, and take some pressure off McLaurin. That opens up so much for David Blau's offense. More spacing, more opportunities for Daniels to make those incredible reads. This isn't just a depth move, this is a potential catalyst for our offense to go from good to elite. Now, the reports suggest a potential return of a late round pick, maybe a 5th or 6th rounder. And if that's the case, Adam Peters, you pull that trigger, man. That's a low-risk, high-reward move that could pay massive dividends. We're not talking about giving up a first-rounder here. We're talking about a pick that could turn into a legitimate WR2 for Jaden Daniels. This is the kind of aggressive, smart move that Peters has shown he's capable of. This is how you build a contender, fam. You find value, you take calculated risks, and you give your franchise quarterback all the tools he needs to succeed. I'm telling you, if BOUTTE lands in DC, the league is going to be on notice. This is a move that could change the entire calculus of our offense. Let's dive a bit deeper into BOUTTE. Why is this guy, who was a 6th round pick, generating so much buzz? His story is complicated. At LSU, he was a star, a projected 1st round prospect by many. His ability to win one-on-one, his speed, his ability to catch passes in traffic, it was all there. But then came the injuries, the questions about his work ethic, and a fall in the draft. The Patriots took him, but their offensive system, especially last year, was a mess. Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe weren't exactly the ideal quarterbacks to exploit a receiver's talent. BOUTTE had flashes, yes, but never the consistency. Here in Washington, the situation is radically different. We have Jaden Daniels, a quarterback coming off a historic rookie season, leading the Commanders to the NFC Championship game. Daniels is an accurate passer with a great ability to extend plays and throw the ball to all areas of the field. David Blau's offense, though we haven't seen it in action yet, promises to be more modern, more dynamic, with an emphasis on spacing and putting players in positions to win. Imagine this: Terry McLaurin drawing the attention of the primary defense, as he always does. And then you have BOUTTE with his speed and route running ability going up against a secondary cornerback. That's a mismatch. BOUTTE has the ability to win in the slot, but he can also play outside. His versatility is key. He's not a receiver who needs a massive volume of targets to be effective. He can make big plays with fewer opportunities. That's what we need. A guy who can turn a 10-yard play into a 40-yard gain. The criticism against BOUTTE is his inconsistency and the doubts about his commitment. But what if a change of scenery, the opportunity to play with a quarterback like Daniels and in an offense that values him, is what he needs? Sometimes a player just needs a fresh start, and Adam Peters has proven to be a GM who isn't afraid to take calculated risks on high potential players. We're not talking about a guy coming in on a $100 million contract. We're talking about a rookie contract with minimal financial risk. If it works, it's a steal. If it doesn't, you cut him and move on. It's a gamble worth taking. Furthermore, the competition in our receiver room is good, but we need a WR2 who can be a real threat. Antonio Williams is promising, but he's a rookie. Treylon Burks and Diami Brown have had their moments, but consistency has been an issue. BOUTTE, with his LSU pedigree and raw talent, could be the missing piece. He could be the guy who truly opens up the field for McLaurin and for our tight ends. And let's not forget the impact on the running game. If we have legitimate threats in the passing game, defenses can't stack the box against Brian Robinson Jr. and our ground game. That creates a balance that makes our offense much harder to stop. It's all interconnected, fam. A good WR2 doesn't just help the quarterback and the WR1, it helps the entire offense. My opinion, and this is where I get a little more passionate, is that if Adam Peters has the opportunity to get BOUTTE for a 5th or 6th round pick, he has to do it. No excuses. This is the kind of move that contending teams make. You don't just wait for your players to develop, you actively seek to improve your roster at every opportunity. And BOUTTE, despite his past issues, has the talent to be a significant upgrade. It would send a clear message to the league. The Commanders are serious. We're not content with being good. We want to be the best. And for that, you need talent everywhere. BOUTTE is an opportunity to add that talent at a bargain price. Do it, Peters. Do it. Let's transition from potential offensive weapons to the guys who protect our most valuable asset, Jaden Daniels. And I'm talking about Josh CONERLY Jr. Man, I needed this news. After a rookie season that had its ups and downs, CONERLY is coming into year 2 looking like a completely different player. The word out of Ashburn is that he's put in the work. He's leaner, he's stronger, and he's poised for a breakout. Remember last year? CONERLY, the 29th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, had a rocky start. His primary concern was his build. He wasn't physically strong enough to consistently outmuscle edge rushers, and it showed. His battles against the league's most powerful pass rushers were evident. There were times when he seemed overwhelmed, and that, to be honest, worried all of us. A first-round offensive tackle needs to be a rock, and CONERLY at first wasn't. But by the end of the season, he was holding his own, and that's a testament to his dedication. Now, this summer, he's been in the gym, transforming his body. Less fat, more muscle. That's the kind of commitment you want to see from a young offensive lineman. It's not just an aesthetic change, it's a functional change. It means he now has the strength to anchor against bull rushes, the explosiveness to get out of his stance, and the stamina to maintain his block throughout the play. CONERLY has the tools, fam. He's got the athleticism, the footwork, the potential to be a high-quality offensive tackle in this league, and having Laramie Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowler, as his mentor, that's invaluable. Tunsil has been guiding CONERLY as an understudy, and you can see the impact. Tunsil doesn't just teach him technique, he teaches him mentality, he teaches him how to prepare, how to study opponents. That's invaluable mentorship for a young tackle. Why is this so critical? Jaden Daniels' health, man. His ability to stay on the field and make plays depends directly on the protection he gets. CONERLY is a long-term building block for this offensive line. We need him to be a rock. And if he can make that leap to above average starter production or even Pro Bowl level, that changes everything for our offense. It gives Daniels more time in the pocket, more confidence, and allows Blau to call more complex plays. Think about it tactically. If CONERLY can solidify himself as a dominant left or right tackle, that frees up the guards to help in the middle or to pull out and block at the second level on run plays. A strong offensive line doesn't just protect the quarterback, it opens up holes for the running game, which in turn opens up the passing game. It's a domino effect. If CONERLY becomes the player we all expect him to be, our offense will be exponentially better. The criticism against CONERLY was his lack of brute strength. He was athletic, yes, but sometimes bigger defensive linemen overpowered him. If he has addressed that in the gym, if he has added that muscle mass and explosive strength, then we're talking about a completely different player. A tackle who can dominate with both his athleticism and his strength is a rarity in the NFL. And let's not forget the importance of consistency. An offensive tackle can't have one good play and one bad play. He needs to be consistently good, play after play, series after series, game after game. If CONERLY has matured in that aspect, if he has developed the discipline and technique to be consistent, then we're seeing the birth of a star. My opinion is that this is the kind of development that separates good teams from great teams. Super Bowl winning teams have dominant offensive lines, and if CONERLY can become that kind of player, if he can form a formidable tandem with Tunsil or whoever our other starting tackle is, then Jayden Daniels will have the time he needs to operate. And when Jayden Daniels has time, magical things happen. This isn't just a good sign, fam. This is the sign we desperately needed. It's confirmation that Adam Peters not only knows how to pick talent, but that those talents are willing to put in the work to reach their potential. CONERLY is key to Jayden Daniels' longevity and to the explosion of our offense. If he plays at a Pro Bowl level, this team is a real threat. This is the kind of news that makes you want to run through a brick wall, fam. This is how you build a championship team, brick by brick, player by player. You saw it. Alright, let's talk about a situation that's a little less exciting, but just as important for the future of our team, the Will Harris gamble. Last offseason, Adam Peters made some big swings, some daring gambles, trying to build on our NFC Championship game appearance. And let's be honest, not all of them panned out. One of those gambles was letting Jeremy Chin walk, a physically gifted safety who had really found his stride with us. Instead, Peters signed Will Harris to a 2-year, $8 million contract with $2 million guaranteed. There was some intrigue, sure, but it was a cheaper alternative that frankly backfired horribly. In fairness to Harris, getting hurt early in the year did him no favors. He missed a lot of time, but when he did return, the performance levels were nowhere near the required standard. He ranked 73rd out of 98 qualifying safeties with Pro Football Focus. That's not good, fam. That's just not good enough for a team with playoff aspirations. Now Joe Witt Jr. is gone, and Durante Jones is our new defensive coordinator. His new ideas were expected to come with a safety revamp, but Peters surprisingly gave almost everyone the benefit of the doubt. Only Nick Cross was signed to bolster the ranks. That's a vote of confidence in players like Harris, but it also means the pressure is on. This is a calculated risk for the Commanders. Harris is getting a pass largely because of the injury. But if the same inconsistencies persist, this experiment will be over. Hindsight is 20/20, and I'm sure Peters would love to have the Chin decision back, but we can't dwell on that. This is about maximizing the options available. Harris has to raise his consistency, embrace the new schematic concepts, and prove he's worthy of a spot on this roster. This is a contract year for Harris, so the pressure is glaring. He needs to show up or he's out. We need reliable playmakers in the secondary, especially with the talent we're going to face in the NFC. If Harris can't deliver, Peters needs to be ready to move on and find someone who can. We can't afford to have weak links on a team that's trying to contend. This is the NFL, man. It's a business, and sometimes tough decisions have to be made. Let's see if Harris is up to the challenge, because the clock is ticking. My criticism here is that, while I understand Adam Peters' logic in giving a second chance to an injured player, the reality is that Harris's performance was unacceptable when he was healthy. A safety is a crucial position in the modern defense, especially in a scheme that will likely want to play more man coverage and blitzes. You need safeties who can cover, who can tackle in space, and who can communicate effectively. Harris demonstrated none of those things at a consistent level. The decision not to bring in a big-name safety in free agency or the draft beyond Nick Cross is a risk Peters is taking. Is he relying too much on internal development or on Durante Jones being able to get the best out of Harris? It could be. But if Harris fails again, the secondary will be a weak point, and that's something we cannot afford. Think about it from the defense's perspective. If your safeties can't cover, your linebackers have to drop back more, which weakens your ability to rush the quarterback. If your safeties can't tackle, run plays turn into big gains. It's all connected. A weak safety can dismantle an entire defense, and the fact that it's a contract year for Harris only adds more pressure. Players in a contract year often overperform, but they can also be a distraction if they're not performing. Harris needs to prove that his 2025 performance was an anomaly due to injury and not an indication of his true playing level. My opinion is that Peters should have been more aggressive at this position. While I trust his overall vision, this is one of those areas where patience could cost us dearly. We cannot afford to wait and see if an injured, underperforming player suddenly becomes a star. We need certainties in key positions. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Harris has a Pro Bowl season, but my skepticism is high. Faith in a player is good, but the reality of performance is what matters in the NFL. If Harris doesn't deliver, this will be a blemish on Peters' record and one that could directly impact our playoff chances. Look, I know we covered some heavy stuff today, the potential of a game-changing trade with BOUTTE, the incredible transformation of Josh CONERLY Jr., and the tough reality of Will Harris's situation, but that's what being a Commanders fan is all about, right? The highs, the lows, the constant analysis, the never-ending hope. This franchise has decades of history, legendary players, and a fan base that's second to none. We're building something special here, bro, and every single piece matters. Jaden Daniels is our future, and we need to surround him with talent and protection. Our defense needs to be stout, and every player needs to earn their spot. If you're still here, if you're still hyped, then you're a true Commander. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tell me in the comments below, what do you think about the Keishan Bowie trade rumor? Is he the WR2 we need? And how confident are you in Josh CONERLY Jr.'s breakout season? I want to read every single one of your comments. Raise hail!